Hi everyone, Matt Waldron here from Level Next Leadership, and welcome to Leaders and Managers Working Together. This is such an important topic to be talking about, understanding that leaders have different roles to managers, but there's a massive crossover in the middle where they can work together to achieve great relationships and great results. I think it's a really interesting conversation for managers and leaders to have around what's the model that they're going to use in terms of being able to work together. There's two models here, the power with versus the power over model. Let's talk about the power over model, the expert model, the top down power over model. This assumes that the senior person, the top person, is indeed the most competent and knows the most about everything in the business or the program. Now, obviously you can see straight away that's problematic, and then because of that it creates very much a fear dynamic in the organization, and it can actually create coercion. It can have an illusion that that senior leader knows what's best for someone else, that that senior leader can tell people what's wrong and with them and what to do and how to do it. There's lots of red tape, there's lots of boxing in, there's lots of labeling that goes on. That person's a good worker, they're a crap worker, they're not so good, oh, they've got potential, this person doesn't have any potential, we should get rid of them. There's all that kind of language that comes out. Certain decision-making practices, certain middle leaders can be removed from the important decisions that that senior leader might need for a perspective about what's happening with frontline staff and what's happening with resources and all those sorts of things. And also the middle manager can often exclude the senior manager, the executive leader, because they don't have a great relationship and they don't want to be controlled and coerced and told what to do. And that leads then to the limiting self-determination, where people are afraid to make decisions in the field, even in their area that they're responsible for, because of this whole top-down paradigm. Now, it's okay on a business plan to see the hierarchical chart, because that helps people in a visual sense to understand what the chain of command is and who's responsible for what. But in practice, the power with model on the right-hand side there is so much better. This model is built on love, it's built on relationship dynamics, and it's built on that consultation, collaboration. It's like a round table approach. People know themselves and their realm better than anyone else. And so that round table approach is that each person is kind of the lord of their own land. Each middle manager should know their realm better than the senior executive leaders. And so there's high level discussions and conversations. It allows room for people to have their own feelings and not have someone thrust their feelings. You should feel this way, you should do this. People are given the opportunity to know what's best for their realm. And because the dynamic is an open one, it's a place where there's open questions and clarifying questions going on, and people are listening and to understand. Then there is that feedback that's there, and there's that sense of mentoring that automatically takes place, and that the middle leaders want to listen to the executive leaders and vice versa, and it creates that respect and uniqueness and diversity for everyone. People can play to their strengths, they can be themselves, and they can bring their own worldview to the workplace, because having different worldviews to come to that space can really help solve problems and achieve great things. And of course, there's a great confidence around making decisions in the field because of the dynamic that's in play. The Knights of the Round Table is such a great analogy for this. Leaders and managers working together. The king, the CEO, whoever is the top person in your organization, had the power to set up the hierarchical model, to set up the model of how leaders and managers and frontline staff are going to work together. In this case, the king decided that the leaders and the managers, the lords of the land, if you like, were going to work together with equal rights, with equal presence, with an equal sense of contribution. And when you do that, people buy in. You can see with the swords on the table there, they're all about one cause. And this king is giving each lord of the land the opportunity to play to their strengths and be the best they can be in their space. And of course, when we do that, we have power teams that can create amazing results. I think it's important that everything starts with leaders and managers collaborating around that round table, so that we can enjoy our relationship together and enjoy the highs and lows of what we do in our businesses and in our workplaces. I get asked a lot, what's the difference between a leader and a manager? And you can see there that the leader on the left-hand side is very mission-driven, produces movement and change. and they have a strategic mindset. So they're seeing sort of from 2 years to 10 years, that picture of success and sculpting that out and positioning the team and the resources and the networks and all that. And so when they speak, they're often speaking from that place. Whereas the manager on the right-hand side is very process-driven, produces order and consistency, which is so important for frontline staff and all that, because they have an operational mindset, which is about 12 months. And so the manager needs to be able to listen to the leader and hear the bigger vision, but then is that kind of person in the middle that then communicates the next 12 months to their team leaders and coordinators and frontline staff, because a lot of those staffs do not need to know the 2 to 10 year vision necessarily. They're not really motivated by that, but they're motivated by what's happening in the next 12 months in their particular field of work. And so you can see there that if you look at it, you can see the differences in terms of the leader and the manager and the perspective, and how important it is to have this common ground of they both need to be role modeling. They both have the opportunity to talk to each other and key future planning. So that's really important that the leader invites the manager into that place and vice versa. Establishing communication strategies between them. Do they meet once a week? Do they email big decisions? What's the communication strategy that needs to go on there? Mobilizing resources. Both mobilize resources slightly differently. The leader is more bigger picture, the manager, again, from an operational mindset. They both need to be able to motivate people in their sphere. So the leader motivates the senior leaders and the middle leaders, and the manager is there to motivate the team leaders and coordinators and frontline staff. They both need to be able to explain the vision and values and answer questions around that for anyone in their field of care. They both make decisions, they both solve problems, but slightly differently in terms of their field of responsibility. They both build team. Again, the leader builds the senior leaders and the middle leaders, and the manager builds those other staff, the team leader, coordinator, and frontline staff. They're both into brand representation. They both need to be making sure that everyone in the organisation is staying on brand and representing the organisation really well. And of course, they are both very interested in seeing opportunity coming their way for new business. Leaders and managers have such a great opportunity to shape the future through their decision making and problem solving. And obviously the quality that they have there is really, really important to work on. You always have to work on your decision making, problem solving capability in whatever leadership or management role you're in. But here I think is a really important picture. On the left hand side you have the type of decision and where the realm of that decision sits and the impact that it actually has. So Russell, let's just say he's a big business owner or a CEO of an organization, and he makes strategic decisions and tactical decisions all the time around what's happening and where the business is going. He's visualizing that, he's making decisions about that. And of course, Dan hangs around the operational decision and the frontline decisions with his staff on the ground. And so that's Dan's main role of responsibility and function. And so it's important that they both meet in the middle and be able to share about their realms of responsibility and function and how that impacts on each other. And so meeting on a weekly basis to talk about these realms is really important, but I think it's key to understand that tactical decision making is a really important place, that they're both on the same page with those mid-range targets and outcomes, so that Dan has a really great sense of how to bring operationally and frontline the things that need to happen there on the ground to make the business really work, and how Russell shapes the future in terms of growing the business and what needs to take place with investors and what needs to take place with networks and partnerships, all those sorts of things. I think that model is really important to see and helpful, I think, again, to know how leaders and managers can work together. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I hope you've learned a bit more about how leaders and managers can work effectively together to create great teams, great culture, and improve their results out there in the community. Please know that I offer a free consultation session for all my services, and you can see a number of empowerment services and programs that help new right through to executive leaders and their teams at www.levelnextleadership.com. I'd love to hear from you. All the best to you and your team and your endeavours for the rest of 2021. Take care now.